Reverend Gary Clark is the minister of Blyth United Church and also the president of London Conference. The president is the head of the church and is elected each year by the annual gathering of United Church people in southwestern Ontario. Reverend Clark has been president since May of 2011. Matthew Penny recently sat down with Reverend Clark to talk about his time as president and his vision for the United Church.
You've been the president of conference now for almost a year.
Yes.
By the time this airs, it'll be close to a year because your term sort of ends the first week of May.
That's right, this year.
Now, you've traveled around to the presbyteries, the various sections of the geographic area of southwestern Ontario. What have you learned about the United Church that makes it unique in the last 8 or 10 months?
Makes it unique? Well, I would say that I don't know if I would say what doesn't make it unique, first of all, is that I think that our structures are not serving us well right now. And
well, that's not unique, is it?
That's not unique. But what is unique, I think, is the ability to set that aside and let the Spirit take our conversations where we will, and to dream outside the structure at a moment's notice. And what I've been trying to do is, as I go to the presbyteries, is present a process where people are asked, if you could change anything, what would you do? And to just let them talk and dream and
do they dream? Do they
it's
dream?
Amazing. Like we'll have in a group of 50 people, 15 different dreams.
Wow.
Offering up and people gathering around, and the excitement and because the door of possibility is there. And there isn't a heavy superstructure, I think, that's going to say, oh, well, now that you've dreamed, sit down and shut up. It's now that you've dreamed, how do we make that dream a reality?
Well, is the United Church then a permission-giving church?
I think that I think when the permission is given, we are ready to go. Right now, structurally, we are not. We are a gatekeeper or
well, that gatekeeper word just sounds restrictive.
It is. And I
think the structure of the United Church is holding it from going forward.
I do believe so.
Well, how do you change that? I mean, you got to change the structure then.
You do. You have to change the structure. You have to change the purpose of the structure.
Well, now, what's that mean? The purpose of this?
Well, right now, I think that the purpose of the structure is for accountability and for gatekeeping. Particularly we say accountability, but really it is gatekeeping. Okay. Are you doing what you're supposed to do? And you have to get by us to get this to go forward, and so on. And the typical kind of story is that a committee will do a lot of work on, let's say, putting a railing in the chancel. And that worship committee has done a lot of hard work on that. Then it goes to the board, and the board does all the same work again, because there is a lack of trust. And it's our job as gatekeepers to make sure you've done your work well. And the only way to do that is to redo your work.
Well, that's the local church. But does that structure restrict, like you're the president of the conference, that's a regional body that envelops a lot of little local congregations and stuff. But does the regional body hold back little congregations from dreams, or?
I think the same applies. I think that if you go to a presbytery meeting, which is the next circle beyond congregation, collection of congregations become a presbytery, it's the same process. So if the pastoral relations, the people who deal with changes in relation, like ministers' positions with congregations or conflict or whatever, everything goes back to the whole court. And sometimes you feel like either it's a rubber stamp or there's a temptation to redo the work of those individual committees. Instead of saying, what is our vision? Like, what is the vision of presbytery? And then letting people go do their work. Like, just go. And then you only come back to the whole court to challenge, are we still going where we're supposed to be going? Do we want to add to something without saying, oh, and you're responsible, by the way?
Well, back at the beginning of this chat, you talked about people getting together when you visited presbyteries and coming up with visions. And that would be really empowering. That would really be a feel-good moment. Are there those feel-good moments happening around the conference that you've seen where visions are being lived out?
Well, you hear sparks of that are happening almost regardless of what's happening at conference or presbytery, and that you have a sense that in very few cases is the conference or the presbytery actually initiating those things. It really is what the things that we are most proud of, are most excited about, are being initiated by individuals or by congregations. And then because they happen to be in our presbytery or in our conference, we can step back and go, look what we're doing. So I think that not exclusively, but close to it, the things that really have been moments of pride or whatever are coming from the grassroots anyway.
But they're there.
But they're there. Most definitely they're there. And actually my final message in the process was to those dreamers, do not expect the presbytery or the conference to do this for you. It is your dream. God has called you, not presbytery, not conference. God has called you to carry forth this dream. So gather disciples, gather people together and make it happen. And besides which, if God has given you the vision, it's not presbytery's work. It's your work.
Well, it's one thing to have a vision. It's another thing to carry it forward. And I have had the experience in my own life where people have a vision, you do it, which really isn't fair.
Well, that's not going to happen. Except in the very rare occasions where because they love you, and then they'll say, well, because we love Matthew, then we will work with him. But it's a compliance.
It's not really their vision then.
No,
it's just
no, it's not.
But the visions that work are the ones people own as their own.
Yes, that's right. The people at the very center, whether it be Gandhi or anybody, Jesus himself, it was his vision that people were excited by, and it became their vision as well. They didn't sort of stand off and go, well, that Jesus guy, he's got some good ideas, so let's follow along. It was what he spoke excited them. It set their hearts on fire. Yeah. And because of that, they were able to go forward in faith of death or threat or hardship.
Now, after you've been president for a while, and your term will end, are you going to come out of being president, after a year of being president, stronger and better feeling about the United Church, or are you going to come out discouraged?
What day is it? I would say for sure that one of the gifts that the position has offered me is exactly what my minister so many years ago told me about. And that is that I personally now have a much greater concern for what's happening in each of the presbyteries, and because of that, what's happening in each of the congregations within those presbyteries, and knowledge about that. And so they can literally be in my prayers in a real way, and not just sort of, I'll pray for Elgin Presbytery. No, I pray for the people in Elgin Presbytery and the struggles there and their joys. And so for that reason, I would invite every member to, offer up, if they're called to it, to be the president of conference, because it does allow people to see us as brothers and sisters instead of as competing churches or courts or whatever. And so that's a gift that I'll leave with. Now, there are frustrations along the way, no doubt about it. But the thing I believe that will stick with me is that sense of that broader understanding or vision of my brothers and sisters in the faith.
Good. Well, Gary, thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. We really appreciate it.
Well, it's always good to have a chance to talk about it, Matthew. So thank you.
Okay.
God bless.
God bless.
We appreciate your feedback on the show, or if you have any upcoming events in your faith community, please contact Doug Croden by emailing doug@anchorvideo.com. If you'd like to view any of our past programs, check out the video archives at lifeandfaith.ca. For those with mobile devices, you can also connect from here to our YouTube site.